So let's understand the transaction in DBMS. So here I am referring this book, Database System Concept. So very first, understand what is a transaction. We all of us use mobile banking, internet banking to transfer the fund from your account to another other accounts. So at a customer's point of view, it's a single operation, but at the back end, number of operations are performed. So transaction is nothing but the collection of operations that perform a single logic unit of work. So these are some properties of a transaction, which is also called as an acid property. So here A stands for atomicity, C stand for consistency, I is isolation, D is for durability. So atomicity is nothing but either all operations are performed successfully or none of them operations are performed successfully. Consistency, that means if transaction executed in an isolation, still we need to maintain the consistency. So isolation is nothing but, suppose I want to transfer the money to my two friends. So firstly I am sending 500 rupees to my one friend. So after deducted 500 rupees from my account, it will be show balance according to it. So that means updated balance should be displayed. Then I will send the next 500 rupees to the another friend. So this is nothing but isolation. Durability means if system fail for some reason, so after resolve the failure failure database should maintain the consistency. That means if our system is fail and before system fail my account balance is, let's say, $50. So after recovery of system, that balance should be reflected correctly, which is $50. So this is the transaction access data operation. It's a very simple basic example, read and write. So here I want to send money from, so here they are sending the money from A to B. So TI is a transaction. So when uh, you select when you do the fund transfer from your mobile banking, let's say, so first you select your account number. So after selecting your account number, it will show you available balance in your account. That means you are reading your balance, that is nothing but read A. So after enter the amount, let's say $50, then you are transferring the 50 amount to another. That means $50 is deducted from your account. So this is nothing but A is equal to A minus 50. After that your balance should be updated. So that is nothing but write A operation. After that we are transferring the money from A to B. So at the B side, the B is reading their previous balance. After that, in account B, they credited with $50. That means B is equal to B plus $50, and that updated balance, it should be reflected in the B's account, that is right B. So this is a state diagram of a transaction. So here active state is nothing but when transaction is ready for the execution. Partially committed is nothing but when last statement of your transaction is executed. Committed, after successful execution of transaction, then we will write commit. Fail means if your transaction fail for some reason. Aborted, after transaction fail, that transaction will be aborted. And if it is if your transaction is in partial committed, and then it may happen that your transaction may get fail. The two reason Why concurrency control important in the transaction? So let's see first what is concurrency. The concurrency is nothing but multiple transactions are performed at the same time. So transaction processing system allow the multiple transaction, but it may cause inconsistency in data. But it is having a two reason, uh, that is first is improve the throughput and resource utilization. Because of the concurrency, the throughput is improved. That means throughput is nothing but even in a given time instruction is executed. And resource utilization means process and disk utilization also increase because your transaction is concurrently performed. The next is reduce waiting time because not a single transactions are wait for others because it perform concurrently. So this is a serial scheduled, how the serial schedule is work. So here T1 is followed by T2. So here first T1 transaction is executed, and after execution of the T1 transaction, T2 transaction will be executed. So it's one by one. So here T1 transaction is nothing but they are transfer the $50 amount from A to B, and in transaction T2 uh, they are transferring the 10% of the available balance from A to B. This is serial schedule which is T1, T2 is followed by T1. That means first T2 transaction is executed and then T1 transaction is executed. Then it is a concurrent schedule. That means at a time both transactions are performed. In a serial schedule we have seen here one by one the transaction is executed. That means after executing all the first transaction, then T2 transaction started for the execution. So in concurrent schedule, at a time both transactions are executed. So this is a schedule 4 which is in an inconsistent state. Here you can see in a transaction T1 of schedule 4, after deducted 50 balance from A account, they are not writing the available balance. And in a T2 transaction, they are reading A. But here the available balance is not written by T in T1 transaction. So it may happen that T2 transaction get not a proper balance of A's account. So next is a serializability. So there are four cases of conflict serializability. So here the two transaction is present, Ti and Tj. So the first is both transaction are perform read operation. So here order is does not matter because both transactions are perform same operation. So the next is read and write. So here I transaction is perform read operation and Z transaction perform the write operations on variable on value of Q. So here if J is come before I, then Tj, sorry, if here I come before J, then Ti cannot read value which is written by Tj. So here order of I and J is matter. Similarly, if I is perform the write operation on value Q and J perform the read operation on value Q, so here also the order is matter. The last is both transactions are performed same operation, that is right. Here also order is does not matter, but the value obtained by the next read on value Q, then then it is affected. So this is a conflict. Here is a conflict happen because in transaction T1 here is a write A, and this is conflict with the read A which is presented in a transaction T2, because at the same time on same value different operations are performed. So this is recoverable schedule. So here you can see in a T6 transaction there is no commit operation. so we are called it as a partial schedule. So here in a T7 T7 immediately commit after read A, but T6C transaction is still in active state. So when we say the recoverable schedule, if we have a two transaction, let's say Ti and Tj, and Tj is a read data item which is previously written by the Ti, so commit operation of Ti should be come first before Tj. That means instead of so here you can see in a T7 transaction is commit is come before the T6 operation. So this is a non-recoverable schedule. Cascadeless schedule. So here are three transactions is there: T8, T9, T10. So in a T8 there is a write A which is read by T9, and T9 write A is read by T10. For any reason if T8 fail, then T8 must be rolled back. So T9 is also dependent on T8. So T9 should be rolled back. T10 is dependent on T9. So T10 also should be rolled back. So this is nothing but the cascading rollback. So this is lock based protocol. So let's see first what is lock. Lock is nothing but when one transaction is accessing the data item and while other transaction cannot modify on that data item. So for that purpose lock is important. There are two modes of lock: share and exclusive. Share is nothing but if Ti transaction holding the share lock on data item, let's say X, then Ti can read value of X but cannot write. And if we apply the exclusive lock, then in an exclusive lock both read and write operations can perform on data item X. So this is a T1 transaction which is example of shared lock because both read and write operations are performed, and T2 transaction is perform only a read operation, that means it is a shared lock. So there is a concurrency control manager who are grant the lock. So here you can see grant X B comma T1. That means for a T1 transaction on a data value of B, they are granting the X lock, that is exclusive lock, for purpose of read and write operation. So deadlock. Let's say, so here you can see T3 is holding the exclusive lock on data item B, and T4 is requesting the shared lock on B, but T4 is waiting for unlock B. Similarly, T4 is holding the shared lock on A, and T3 is requesting the exclusive lock on A. So here also T3 transaction is waiting for unlock A. So this is nothing but a deadlock. So what is star? So here we are having four transactions. So in transaction T2 they are holding a shared lock on data item A. So T1 transaction is requesting the exclusive lock on A, but the T1 is waiting to unlock T2. So in a transaction T3 they are requesting the shared lock which is similar, which is shared lock which is similar lock which is holding by T2. So it may be grant. So here transaction T2 is release the lock and it's provided, and it is grant the lock to T3 transaction. So in a T4 transaction they are again requesting the shared lock on data item A. So it may be grant, and the T3 transaction release the lock and it is grant the T4. So here the T1 transaction is starved because they are requesting the exclusive lock and it is not similar to the shared lock. So that's why here T1 transaction is starved. Then two-phase locking protocol. So here there are two phases of locking. There are growing phase and shrinking phase. So in this phase, in growing phase, the transaction obtain the lock but not release any lock. In shrinking phase, transaction release the lock but not obtain any lock. That is called as a shrinking phase. So there are two phase locking protocol is strict and rigorous two phase locking protocol. So in a strict two phase locking protocol, cascading rollback is avoided by modifying this two phase locking protocol, and in this all exclusive mode lock by transaction held until the transaction commit, and any data written in an uncommitted transaction which is not a committed transaction which is locked by exclusive mode and any other transaction cannot read that data. So this is strict two phase locking protocol. And rigorous two phase locking protocol is nothing but requires that all locks be held until the transaction commits. Timestamp based protocol. So timestamp which is denoted by TS on transaction, let's say TI. So this timestamp assigned to transaction before begin. So let's say this is a new transaction TZ. So if this is a new transaction which is entered into the system, so this should be TS of first transaction, that is TI, should be less than the transaction timestamp of the transaction TZ. There are two simple methods for assigning timestamp, either through system clock or either through logical counter. So to implement this scheme, we associated with each data atom the two timestamp values there, read and write. So here first is a write timestamp on data value Q. So it denotes the largest timestamp of any transaction which is executed write of data atom Q successfully. And then read timestamp, it is also denoted the largest timestamp of any transaction which is executed the read operation of data value Q successfully. So this is timestamp ordering protocol. Suppose we are having the transaction Ti and it issues a read operation on data value Q. So very first is, if your timestamp of Ti transaction less than the write timestamp of the data value of Q, so here read operation is rejected and Ti is rollback. In second, the timestamp of the Ti transaction is greater than equal to the write timestamp of the data value of Q. So in this, read operation is executed and it will set the maximum read timestamp on data value Q. Second one, if transaction issue the write operation on data value Q. The very first is, if timestamp of the Ti transaction is less than the read timestamp of data value Q, then here write operation is rejected and Ti is rollback. Second condition is, if your timestamp of Ti, that is a transaction, is less than the write timestamp of data value Q, then here Ti is attempting to write an absolute value of data value Q. So here also system is rejecting the write operation and Ti is rollback. Otherwise the system is execute the write operation and set the write timestamp of data value Q to timestamp of